Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your host, Steve and Jeff. G'day, mate.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Stranger Things,
I know.
Steve. You know,
Weird
it's like-
terms.
I love the intro music to that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I actually stopped watching this episode. I've loved that. And it got a little bit dark, Steve, I've got to say. It got a little bit dark. Do you ever watch Stranger Things?
I've heard of it, never watched it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Did you watch the season? Yeah. Did you like it? I thought it was a little bit dark.
Yeah.
A little bit dark.
Okay.
Anyway, but Stranger Things, we're actually talking to strange vernacular.
Vernacular,
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I do know what vernacular means.
What does vernacular mean?
Well, it's the terms you use to describe things.
Yeah. So language and some of the things that roll off specifically your tongue and Elizabeth's tongue, Steve, which are mystifying to certain people in the public. And so what we wanted to do is break down some of the unusual words that you use.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Every profession has them,
Yeah.
by the way. It's not just us weirdos with the naturopaths and stuff, but
Yeah.
like Beck, who's my wife, and a nurse. A wife. One of them.
Yeah.
One of the five.
Yeah.
She
You've got
listens
a
to these
harem.
things. Yeah, of course.
That's awesome.
I got bitten by a Russell Viper.
Well, you have to do something with it, right? One wife's just not enough. You got bitten by a Russell Viper.
Yeah, I know.
And if you're not sure what we're talking about, maybe listen to some of our snippets.
That's right.
But yeah, it's a snake that causes.
Priapism, which is a term that
Look that up. We're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So safe for work. Safe for Facebook.
So there's medical terms, but there's nursing terms. And she said she was looking after a PFO patient last night.
PFO.
Yeah.
Palestinian fighter officer. I don't know. PFO.
really-
PLO is the Palestinian Liberation.
Yeah, that's right.
Army.
No,
PLA.
This is a PFO, they call it.
PFO.
It's one of the most common things you can present to the emergency department with on the Gold Coast.
I don't know. A PFO.
PFO, piston fell over.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Can we say that?
I'm going for this.
No.
Nah.
She was in the neurotrauma ward
Right.
last night, and she had a couple of PFOs in there,
Yeah.
and a couple of MVAs.
Well,
Does everyone know what an MVA is?
motor vehicle accident?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's funny because I was talking to, and how things change.
Yeah.
So, Steve, if I said to you, mate, that's your POV. If I said, POV.
POV.
What would you think if I said, mate, POV?
Well, POV for me was
what?
like a poverty thing.
Yes.
It's pretty low.
Well, I said that because my son's saying that the other day. He's like, Dad, that's your POV. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean I'm poverty? Because I say, there's POVO.
Yeah.
You look at you, mate, you're POV.
Yeah.
You shop down at Vinnie's.
Yeah.
When I first came to Australia, I had no idea what a Vinnie's was. I was like,
Shop at Vinnie's, so what?
Yeah. Oh, well, now it's kind of cool.
It is.
In fact, my sister shops there almost exclusively.
Oh, yeah.
And for people who don't know, that's an op shop.
Yeah.
But POV means point of view.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like LOL. When I first heard that, I'm talking
Laugh
way
out
back.
loud?
Lots of laughs. I thought, lots of loves, but you're right. It's laugh out loud. But I thought, it was, hey, these people are lovely. I'm online and they're LOL. It's like lots of love right back to you too, pal. It's like, no, that's not. That's not what it is.
So there's all these weird words that we come
I
up
think
with.
Ruffle. We know what Ruffle stands
I've
for.
never heard of Ruffle.
You've never heard of Ruffle?
What is it?
Well, Steve, do you have a computer in your cave?
Of course not.
Yeah.
What's?
Roll on floor laughing.
Oh.
You've never heard that before?
Oh, now it makes sense now. But
Anyway, so and I know that those are acronyms. I'm saying it wrong. Acronyms for things. But this isn't just acronyms, Steve. This is actually words.
These are words that we in our naturopathic world use and herbalist world. A lot of these are herb words that we use all the time.
Yep.
And some of them are medical.
Okay.
But most of these are sort of old words that have come, but some are new too. Like the top one we talk about is nootropic.
Yeah. Nootropic.
Yeah.
Right?
N-double-O.
N-double-O.
Yeah. T-R-O-P-I-C.
Well, I know what that is because I'm very interested in this space and not just for gamers, but this is really funny. So one of the compounds that we use a pre-workout, $3,000 a kilo. It was funny because I was actually literally thinking about it this morning. It's a brilliant, freaking awesome product. Like, and Steve, we're working a lot on nootropics, right? And in fact, I had a meeting yesterday about further enhancing the nootropic, how can I say this, cognitive enhancement.
Yep.
And I'll get you to give the proper term, but saffronol, unbelievable. It's funny because we talk about huperzine, and I'm like, Steve, I like huperzine. And Steve goes, huperzine's all right.
Yeah, well,
it's ridiculously expensive, and the feeling that you're going to get, it's not brilliant.
No,
and we're talking about acetyl L-carnitine and acetyl L-tyrosine, and we use acetyl because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, right? But in certain formulations, and it's great. And this is about creating compounds that synergistically work together to have a result, right?
Yeah, of course.
But getting back to the root word, nootropic, Steve, what's the scientific?
Something that enhances brain function.
Yeah.
So you were going to talk about something called the Nervine later, which is something that may enhance brain function or may settle the brain.
Does nootropic, Steve, and I think the word is becoming more popular. I remember there was a company called Happy High Herb way back when, and they focused a lot on nootropics. I mean,
bet they did.
But all of them, I mean, enhancing brain function, you could take things like ginkgo, you could take other things, and you might actually want to talk about some of the compounds that actually work on increasing nootropic. But again, it's to create you in that state of alertness. I know that phytopolists used to take, and this way, they used to take amphetamines.
Oh, yeah,
because they're not nootropic, and it would increase their reaction time.
Yeah, of course.
So they actually took it so that they could, bomb the other, or same with gamers now too. Not that they should be taking, amphetamines, but like anything that you can take naturally to enhance cognition, speed of thought, enhance reaction. What about mood, Steve? Does a nootropic necessarily enhance mood?
Not really. That's more of a Nervine thing, but we'll get to that later.
Haven't really heard of Nervine before. Because at the end of the day, it reminds me of that song, I want to be a hippie and I want to get high. Do you remember that song, Steve?
Sounds like something I should.
And they went, marijuana, marijuana. Anyway, but the thing is that you don't want to be low and slow.
Yeah.
You want to be like wired, but without being jittery. Where you get the shakes, and so creating this optimal state. But it's like anything; the piper has to be paid somewhere, and this is where if you can create chemical, and I'm talking typically, I like again from natural sources because I think the piper is a lot smaller that has to be paid.
Oh,
and if you can create compounds and things that enhance cognition, speed of thought, recall. I like mood enhancing at the same time as a nootropic, Steve.
Absolutely, and that's what saffron does. It attacks two, because you remember the nootropics really target the neurotransmitters in the brain. Yeah, because we've got 86 billion brain cells. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a few more than that.
Yeah, well, so thousands more, which is bugger all.
86 billion. I've got at least 250 more than that.
86 billion and 1 million.
Yeah.
Make much sense. So anyway, so these neurotransmitters can be fired up, like you've got an engine and you can put a turbo on it, and you can put a supercharger on
high octane fuel, Steve, versus putting in better
exhaust, and so you can enhance the engine. So if you think of your brain as an engine, a nootropic is like all the other bits that make the engine work better. And so like you mentioned saffron before, saffron increases one of the chemicals in the brain, or two of them, which is serotonin. And beta endorphins. So it makes you feel good. Very good.
And I like the way it makes you feel. I mean, and again, it's like if 5 is equilibrium or the status quo or whatever you want to say, like that's kind of like your norm. Like 1's like and like 10's like manic. It probably takes you up to maybe a 7, 7.5. Not like the DMAA of geranium stem, which is just complete synthetic, which made you feel like probably I've never taken cocaine, Steve, believe it or not. But if cocaine was kind of like a, I don't know, 9. 9.5. Geranium stem was like an 8.5. That's what I mean, that's what people would say. It was like, whereas obviously the saffronol Way more expensive, by the way, because it's natural compound.
It's more expensive than cocaine.
You bloody oath. 3,000 a kilo. It would, So it wouldn't push you quite as far.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it can't, because it's not like an amphetamine that just absolutely drives your brain without limits.
Yeah.
So the limit is you die if you take too many amphetamines.
Yeah.
You know, no one's died of safranol poisoning from having too much coloured rice. You know what I mean? It's a very natural plant.
Yeah.
And you'd die of poverty before if you had so much of it, because it's so expensive anyway.
I like that, Steve. You die from POV.
You'd die of POV, when POV is.
Yeah.
So also, there's other chemicals in the brain. Acetylcholine's another good one.
Yeah.
So, things like alpha GPC is great for that.
Yeah. And also increases growth hormone as well too.
Dopamine. You mentioned acetylcarnitine before for dopamine.
Yeah. Acetyl-L-tyrosine. I mean, any of the acetyl esters which help the cross. Is it lipid?
Acetyl form is like a CHO form.
Form, right.
And so basically it absorbs to the gut better and into the brain better.
Yeah, crosses the blood-brain barrier, right?
Oh, easily.
Yeah. And then hopefully that's taking some of the other things with it.
Yeah.
So,
Chef, can I have a bar?
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Oh, God, love this.
So do you know what, Steve? Some people call me barking mad.
Yeah.
Right? But no, the bar.
The bar.
Origin bar. The bar. It feels like tattoo. The bar. Steve, do you like a bar?
I love them. I actually love. Well, funny enough, the orange one did it for me.
Well, it's interesting, and again, we've sort of mentioned this before, but we've got 3 flavors at the moment. There's a couple more on their way, and a couple of different styles coming as well too, Steve. But right now, we've got toffee, we've got Belgian chocolate, and we've also got the chocolate orange. Now, the chocolate orange, a little bit different. Yeah. It's actually got real orange essence in there, and it is probably the runaway surprise hit because it is a very fresh, very light taste. And I'm not a huge, like, if I'm looking at bars on the shelf, I'm not normally going to grab the chocolate orange, but give it a try if you haven't tried it before. Toffee, very decadent, very rich, and of course, everybody loves chocolate.
Yeah.
But Steve, give me the rundown. Ready? Let's do a battle off on the bars.
All right. High protein.
High protein. High fiber.
Gluten-free.
No artificial flavors or colors.
Contains a full serve of body balance collagen.
Ooh. No dairy.
Yeah. No grains.
Jelly-like texture.
Yeah, it tastes fantastic. Can I say that? Because it does.
Yes, it does. But I mean, I'm talking about attributes here. Uses real Australian Belgian-style chocolate, dark chocolate. You're going for the macros now, aren't you?
Yeah, very low carbohydrate.
Yep. Conveniently fits in your pocket. No, okay, we're really struggling now. But look, seriously, the No Way collagen jelly bar is available at all of our good retailers. That's all of your specialty sports retailers, and available at Woolworths. Look, get in, guys, grab a bar, give it a try, see how you like it. Very, very different. Again, we didn't want to use any gut upsetting sugar alcohols that are in there as well too. It's naturally flavored. It's got a jelly-like texture to it. It is a little bit different, but certainly high in protein. So, Steve, what else can we say? I think we've covered it all.
I think we've covered it. They're remarkable. They are.
Anyway, give it a go, guys. Let us know what you think. And yeah. All right, what else you got for me?
All right. Have you heard of an adaptogen?
Yes. So basically brings you back to that state of normality. I mean, and it's funny because I know that I heard this term back in the 90s when I'd go and visit naturopaths. And it's funny because a lot of doctors now, there's a lot of integrated doctors now, which understand medicine and then herbal medicine, and food and all the rest of it. But for a lot of people back in the 90s, adaptogens were complete quackery. And in fact, I heard that from my family doctor. Oh, there's no such thing as an adaptogen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, in medicine, there isn't.
No.
There's no such thing as an adaptogen.
There's basically something that forces you in one direction or another, pretty much. Whereas an adaptogen is a normalization.
Yes.
So again, if your body is producing too much of something or not enough, an adaptogen will either help to regulate it. I look at nature, Steve, as always wanting to be in harmony and in balance. And if anything is out of whack, you're either manic or you're depressed, or you're wired or you're lethargic. If there's a constant state that you're in, that's a problem. So an adaptogen is herbs that I think help to bring the body back to normality.
Yeah, there's studies on withania showing that it reduces stress.
Yep.
Then there's studies on withania showing that it improves performance.
Right.
And that doesn't make sense in medicine.
Right.
Okay? If you want to, in medicine, something will either like the benzodiazepines suppress you,
Yep.
and drugs like modafinil and these sort of anti-sleep agents
Yeah.
that can keep you awake all night pick you up,
Right.
amphetamines, for example. So there's only those two classes, one that suppresses you. So in medicine, there's no such thing. But in nature, there's lots of things. 'Cause our body is trying to always achieve equilibrium. If I drank all that and more, I'd pee more. I wouldn't just fill up with water. Homeostasis.
Yeah.
And so that's what an adaptogen does. It helps restore the body to normal.
Yeah.
So,
So what are some of the best adaptogenic herbs, Steve?
Withania is a classic one.
Anything else?
Schisandra.
Schisandra, yeah. I love
rhodiola is a good one.
Yep.
So these are great
Yeah, yeah.
ones that I remember one, and I won't mention its name, but if I give it to my wife, it helps her sleep. And for me, it really gives me like a nootropic effect. Now we know what that means.
Oh, why can't you mention it?
Because it's a product.
Okay, don't mention the product, mention the major. Oh, so it's got Schisandra and
it's got
all this thing.
Schisandra and withania.
See, well, the funny thing is that with regards to, there's another product that we use, which got turmeric in it, and a lot of people take it for their adrenals and what have you.
Yeah.
If I take it at night, it keeps me awake, whereas with most people, they take it and it actually helps them to sleep.
It's probably the same one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, we won't mention product names on here. No.
But that's exactly what an adaptogen is. Helps you adapt to the situation that's at hand.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the famous thing with Schisandra, it helps you with performance. We've talked about its performance ability.
Racehorses even.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the nice thing is that there's no, how would you say, placebo.
No.
Because horses aren't going, yep, I'm going to run faster.
No.
No, they're just like, I'll eat that.
They'll eat that. They don't care. It's like rats. People bag rat studies, but there's so unbiased rats. You can't sort of force them to think one way.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
That's very interesting.
So
all right,
that's
give me another one.
All right, this is a bit of an easy one. What is thermogenic?
Thermogenic, anything that helps with, effectively at the end of the day, burning fat, so oxidating fat. So is that thermogenic, Steve? Is that something that enhances? Because typically you think of thermo and you think of an increase in temperature, like thermogenic, increasing temperature.
Yeah.
But is that increase in temperature coming from the oxidation of the fat in the mitochondria, which actually effectively gives off energy? Is that the proper?
That's exactly right. So anything that boosts your metabolism.
Yeah.
So you can have like something that boosts your thyroid, for example.
Yeah.
Then that can actually increase your body temperature.
Yeah.
And that is thermogenic.
So the lay term on that would be fat burning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the classic ones for those were uncoupling proteins.
I love uncoupling proteins. No, I do, because it's kind of like the holy grail of fat loss as far as I'm concerned, right? So, and that's the thing. Is that a beta-3 antagonist, Steve? Yep. So, and these things are hard to find in nature. If you can find really high-quality beta-3 antagonists, you'll find a significant enhancement in fat loss. So are there any herbs that come to mind, Steve, as far as...
Gynostemma is a classic one for that.
Yeah.
So there's a few that do work that way. Synephrine, that's found in bitter orange.
Yeah, bitter orange. Yeah.
So that's like we'll call it like adrenaline.
Yeah.
Now, the advantage with synephrine is that it binds to fat cells and fats are released, because adrenaline, when it binds to fat cells, fats are released into the bloodstream. So when you exercise, you get more fats in your blood, so you've got more energy to burn.
Yep.
And that's why exercise, surprise, is good for fat loss.
Yeah.
But not just weight loss.
And the funny thing is the mysteries, and I'd like to do a whole podcast on the mysteries of fat loss, Steve.
Oh,
I reckon that'd be good, because the funny thing is that in isolation, because a lot of people say, okay, so if we talk about thermogenesis, fat loss, exercise, people know. Food, people absolutely understand. Microbiome, I don't think people actually understand, and how exercise can actually change your microbiome, which further enhances your body's ability to regulate body composition. For example, when you exercise really hard, and for anybody who remembers this, if you're running, heaps and heaps of running, and again, a lot of people say, oh, don't run because you're going to burn off too much muscle tissue, but like I'm just talking the average person. You know that? Do you ever run, Stephen? And I remember in school when I used to do a lot of like 3K, 3K
sprints.
Well,
Holy
I used to sprint, Steve. Yeah.
Jeez, I'd conk out after 3
I also
seconds.
have a 10th Dan black belt. No, but when people used to do like high intensity runs for short, relatively 3K, 5K, and you used to get that burning in the back of your throat. Do you remember that? And you'd almost be able to, almost like a phlegm, right? You know what that is, right?
Yes, I know what it is.
That's the carbon, that mucus, right?
Absolutely.
When that gets into your gut, because obviously you swallow it, it feeds.
Good old Akkermansia.
And that changes your whole microbiome.
Exactly.
And Steve, what does Akkermansia do in the gut?
Oh, it increases fat burning, and I've got a paper on that for our next week's podcast, actually, where we're talking about the one aspect of the microbiome and the Akkermansia.
So we'll leave that there, but this is the interesting thing. So people don't think, okay, so if I run, I burn calories. It's not just that. It's changing your hormones.
Yep.
It's changing your gut microbiome. Yep. It's changing your desire. People that have gone on diets for a period of time say, I naturally crave less sweet foods than what I used to, because so there's an interrelation here. You know, your hormones, your sleep patterns, all these things actually play in concert. And I think people don't recognize. They go, to lose weight, I've got to exercise and I've got to eat better. And that is true, but there are other things that are going on that people don't know. And if you can enhance those things, Steve, you can actually accelerate the results that you want to get. So
we can.
All right. So sorry, that's Thermogenic.
Yeah.
Anything else?
All right. There's a few. There's what about an Adjuvant? I'm trying to give you some.
So typically these are used in vaccines. And an adjuvant is something that excites a reaction. And so you can use attenuated viruses and things like that. For example, there might be other things, Steve, but basically, effectively these things are dead or considered to be harmless, but the adjuvant excites an immune reaction within the body, and it sort of sees this and goes, right, that's danger. Therefore, next time I see this, I'm going to attack it. It sort of preps or primes the immune system, but I'd probably trample all over it,
That's
Steve.
one aspect of it. So in vaccines, you might add like aluminium.
Yep.
Which is a classic one.
Sure.
And all that does is ramp the immune system up, and then you got the attenuated virus, which goes, that's what we're looking for. Oh, okay. And because then you get it's like someone revving you up before you do an event. Like you're talking about your run, someone's cracking the whip, and that's what it does. Now in herbal medicine, we use them quite a lot. And you might find them like cayenne is a classic one.
Cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it enhances absorption, or even black peppers. Yeah, that irritates the gut.
It's funny with black pepper. I know that and there's a really popular brand which was used a long time ago, because they said effectively if you can irritate the gut, you can enhance the permeability of the gut. So therefore, the absorption of the nutrients is superior. Like anything, though, it's a bit of a piper to pay there as well, right? So effectively, you're creating leaky gut.
I'm not a fan of that.
No, I'm not a fan of black pepper either, to be honest, in terms of, and again, and I'll always mention it anytime I hear about black pepper being used to enhance the absorption of something.
Oh, don't say the
turmeric.
Yeah, oh, no. Do they still do that?
Yeah, no, idiots. No. It is not the way that the turmeric is supposed to work in the body. The only time that you would do that is for one specific issue, which 99.9% of people are not taking it for the big C word.
The big C
word. Black pepper and turmeric together may have an effect there, but for the systemic effect in the body, don't take black pepper with turmeric. And if you see someone selling you black pepper with turmeric because they say it's more bioavailable, they don't know the science. They don't know what they're talking about. There is a natural, again, nature knows best. There is a natural pathway in the body for turmeric where it needs to go through the digestive system the whole way and not shortcut any absorption mechanisms through the gut.
Exactly. Oh, geez. Well, if you do have to get an allergic reaction and you are very sick, you might want to take an analgesic. You know that term?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty simple one.
Analgesic. So what is the definition, the true definition of
something
analgesic?
that relieves pain.
Yep.
Now, there's different types. Yeah, like you mentioned.
What about white willow bark?
Yeah, very good one.
Okay.
Because that's got salicylic acid in it.
Yep.
Which is the backbone for aspirin.
Yeah.
which is acetylacetic acid.
Yep.
So when they acetylize it, it gives it a few side effects, but it helps its absorption
Yep.
and can help get into the brain,
Yep.
which means good for headaches.
And then we know paracetamol.
Yeah.
Which is again, I think a bit of an epidemic of people using it, and a lot of deaths caused from paracetamol.
Well, especially liver damage.
Yeah.
It's quite a nasty one.
All right.
So there's different ways that analgesics work. There's some that work in the brain, and there's some that work at the site of pain. Like if you get an inflamed joint like arthritis, if you reduce the inflammation, that is an analgesic, but it's actually an anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
So turmeric works that way.
I was going to say turmeric would be a good one. Yep.
But if you take, say, an opioid drug, it does nothing for the inflammation. It just stops the messages getting to the brain by activating the opioid receptors.
What about white willow bark and turmeric?
Yeah, and quite commonly we prescribe that. And when I was taught classic herbalism, you gave someone a bottle, usually 200 mils, but it could be 500 mils, and you put about 4 or 5 herbs in there at therapeutic dosages.
Yeah.
So like you could make up say we'll just say arthritis. The first thing you put in there is turmeric.
Yep.
And you might put boswellia in there as an anti-inflammatory.
Yep.
And you might put a little bit of ginger because that's anti-inflammatory, but it helps with digestion as well.
Yeah, I love ginger.
And you might put white willow bark in there purely for the pain.
Uh-huh.
So you've got this bottle of anti-inflammatory herbs.
What did it taste like?
Awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful.
Yeah, Tony calls them bat's blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
We're a bit soft nowadays.
Yeah, it is. And you know what you could do is you could put a flavour in there like licorice. Licorice in this case would be
Actually,
okay.
I remember a lot of the stuff. Tony would literally, she'd take it once or twice, and she's such a softie.
Oh, it's we used to give herbs to people who were very sick, and they didn't want to drink these damn things. It's very inconvenient. And you got to do it usually 3 times a day. Usually give 5 mils 3 times a day is the classic dose.
Yep.
You can go higher or lower depending on what you prescribe, but that's classical. When you go to a classical herbalist, you've got all these bottles of herbs. And you mix them in together. Nowadays, we've got better ways of taking herbs.
Sure.
We can, there's some herbs that we use that are 20-to-1 extract. Most are 10-to-1. So it means you take out all the fibre and all the water and all that stuff that's not really important in the herb and the structural part of the plant, and you're left with the actives. Doesn't mean you make one active; it's just the actives. A group of chemicals in there.
Yep.
So that's what an analgesic is.
Okay.
Simple one, decoction.
Decoction. Yep.
I think you're drinking one.
Yep. Yes. I am.
Is it?
My almond
tea or coffee?
My almond flat white.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it's a decoction because you're adding hot water to it.
It's funny. I cannot ever drink milk, Steve.
Nah.
I can't. I mean, I used to have bath milk. Even now, I'm finding I'm not even doing that. It's all almond and macadamia now.
Yeah.
It's funny. And I had one the other day that was made on cow's milk, and literally it was horrid. It's funny what you get used to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, decoction is just what like a cup of tea.
Well,
you
a cup
could
of tea
look
is
at
a little bit
chamomile.
different. It could be an infusion of tea, which is the next term.
Yeah.
That's when you soak something like a tea bag in a thing. Now, what decoctions what the infusions you usually use is with Chinese medicine.
Right.
Now, you reckon our herb, Western medicine herbs taste bad? Try it. An infusion of Chinese medicine tastes awful.
Really?
Mostly. There's none that I've tried taste any good.
Right.
Very good for you, but we don't, I can remember, before, when I was trained in the 90s for herbal medicine, there wasn't the flavouring that there is these days. Even artificial stuff just wasn't around.
Yeah.
You just gave them the bottle of herbs and say, suck it up, princess.
Yep.
And you drank it. That was it.
Yep.
Or prince.
Or prince.
Yeah. We don't want to assume the
Or
gender.
nondescript, non-binary.
That's right.
Person.
It could be that one of those
Huper.
options.
I still like Huper because you're taking the male acronym out of person, son.
Oh,
person.
okay.
Yep.
That's
Huper.
it.
Yep.
That works.
It's a cross between a human man and person man. So Huper.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
Get with the times, Steve.
I know. Look, and if all this stuff is stressing you out, you may need to take a Nervine.
Nervine.
We've talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just helps settle the nerves or improves the nerves.
Catnip, Steve.
Catnip is a good.
Why doesn't catnip work on humans?
Well, I've got some growing in the garden for flat face.
Yeah.
And he reacts to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to me, it just smells like it actually smells good.
Huh.
But I don't go nuts like flat face.
Flatface loves it. Hey,
Oh,
the cats
yeah.
go crazy for
They
it.
go crazy for it.
Yeah.
I don't know why or whatever. It's something.
What does it make them feel like when they take it?
Must be euphoric because he gets his face and pushes it in. He hasn't really got a face because it's all flat.
It's all flat, yeah.
Yeah, and he just pushes it into it. It's very funny.
Yeah. Doesn't work on dogs either, does it?
Never tried it on. I can bring some in for Biscuit and you try it.
Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah.
No.
Let's get that little dog high.
Well, he's got a big nose, so he should be able to smell it.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive nose. Oh.
Okay. So what is that called again? What?
Oh, that one was called an Infusion.
An Infusion. No. Yeah.
Oh, the Nervine.
Nervine.
Yeah, sorry, Nervine.
So
Yeah.
nerve tonics and things like that, is it, Steve?
Yeah, nerve tonic.
Up and down and
Both.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
above.
So if you're feeling really stressed out and all the rest of it, you can take a Nervine.
Yeah, or if you're feeling flat and want better performance, you can take a Nervine.
Okay.
Or you can take a Nootropic.
And what are some of the best Nervines out there
The three classics.
for humans?
Yeah, a rhodiola,
Yep.
a Schisandra,
Yep.
and Withania.
Yep.
They're the three.
Best.
Yeah.
And they're more adaptogenic too, aren't they?
They are.
So in other words, if you're feeling up and anxious, it'll bring you down. And if you're feeling flat and tired and unmotivated, it'll sort of boost you up a little
They're
bit.
an adaptogenic for the nerves. An adaptogen is something we'll probably get to later. Oh, no,
we've already done
passed
it. We've already done it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that can adapt things like, in your whole body as well.
And any uppers, Steve, out there in nature that you can think of?
Oh, like pure uppers?
Yeah.
Probably orange peel, bit orange, and synephrine is a pure upper.
What about chamomile's an infusion.
Yeah.
But is there any well, I guess it could be a Nervine as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So chamomile sort of helps you to go to sleep.
Does, yeah.
Anything else?
Which is a sedative.
Yeah. Dopaminergic sort of things?
Oh, yeah, there's
Do they slow you down, Steve? They slow you down a little bit, don't they?
yeah, you can have dopamine at the right level, and because you need it there, and you're not awake all the time.
No.
But you still need dopamine in your brain. So it's neither. There's GABAergic herbs which sedate you, like valerian.
Valerian root, nice one. Skullcap.
Yeah, basil skullcap or skullcap, scutellaria, basilistus.
Yeah.
So I learnt the Latin words. I probably shouldn't talk Latin here, should we?
Yeah, you can.
Whatever. But as uppers, look, luckily we don't have too many uppers. Theobromine is an upper, I guess.
And chocolate.
Chocolate, yeah. That's a good one. And
This is from cocoa, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Very toxic for dogs because they can't regulate it in the brain. That just sends them nuts.
Okay.
So no dark chocolate for biscuit.
No.
No dark chocolate biscuits for biscuit.
No, he doesn't eat any dark chocolate biscuits.
I saw him eating a big bone this morning. Got through it all.
Oh, yeah, he crunches those things down like a wolf.
I made the mistake of patting him once when he's chewing on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't touch
count my fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He's never bitten anyone.
No, of course not. No, he's good.
All right, what else you got?
Hypnotics.
Okay, so like trance-like state.
Yeah, but hypnotic means it puts you to sleep.
Okay.
So we've talked about passiflora or passion flower.
Yeah.
Valerian.
Yeah.
Skullcap again.
Yeah.
Chamomile.
Yeah.
And again, for a great hypnotic, if somebody comes to you and you're a herbalist and they just can't sleep, you could put those 4 herbs in a bottle and just give them a high dose before bed.
Yeah.
And it will very much help them sleep.
Good night, sweet prince or princess.
That's it, or princess or any of the other denominations.
Yep.
So, there's a few of them.
All right.
What about this one? A Demulcent.
Demulcent.
This is a weird one.
Demulcent. Is that like is that an astringent accent?
Astringent tightens blood vessels.
Yeah,
a demulcent it soothes the mucous membranes.
Oh,
so a demulcent could be like a slippery elm bark.
Okay.
If you've got, a GERD, which is a gastroesophageal reflux disorder.
Sure.
And you can have that to coat it, or marshmallow licorice. These are all great demulcents for anyone with ulcerations, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And that's a classic one.
Yeah, right.
So, and we also infuse Hydrastis canadensis up the nose, or golden seal.
Yeah.
And that works as an astringent and also a demulcent.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so interesting stuff.
It is.
Yeah. Now, the next one, I love this, is an astringent.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So something that closes or tightens.
Tightens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the classic one for that, a lot of people use is witch hazel.
Yep.
Which
good
is
for pimples, stuff like that.
And varicose veins and all these sort of things.
Yep.
It's a great astringent, and for hemorrhoids, if we're allowed to talk about hemorrhoids.
We are.
Good. That's a good one too.
So how do you get the witch hazel on your hemorrhoids? You just rub it straight on?
Yes, you do.
Gently.
Very gently with a glove.
On.
You snap the glove on.
Yep.
And get them to bend over and apply it. What about an antiemetic?
No, I don't know what. I don't know emetic. No.
It's an anti-nausea thing.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're feeling sick, you have an anti-nausea thing. The classic one that we use is ginger, Zingabar for
Yeah. I know when Tony had a lot of morning sickness, she used to use ginger. I think it's good. I think they also use it in travel medicine and stuff like that as well too, right? Like ginger's a good one. Yeah. What else?
Vitamin K2 is a very good one, antiemetic, particularly if you've got morning sickness.
Right.
It's a good one for that. Vitamin K is so underrated for women who are pregnant.
Right.
In fact, what they do now, because it's so underrated and women typically don't eat so well when they're pregnant, now that's a very broad stroke,
sure,
but they've got nausea and life things happening and, weird cravings.
I think, Tony was Vegemite on toast, I think, like crazy.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So what they do now is they give babies vitamin K shots when they're born because of the vitamin K deficiency they're often born with.
Yep.
So there's that one.
What else?
Okay. All right. What about a balsamic, like as in balsamic vinegar?
Does it hit the vagus nerve?
No, it doesn't actually.
Help with digestive acids?
It actually reduces inflammation.
There
you go. Very interesting. Now, balsamic vinegar actually reduces inflammation simply because it's high in acetic acid.
Right.
4% acetic acid. Now, acetic acid is a short-chain fatty acid, so if you eat a lot of good polyphenols, healthy fibres, acetic acid goes into the body and reduces inflation. That's why a lot of people...
apple cider vinegar?
Is very good for arthritis.
Right.
One of those things that we use, that's why.
Yeah.
Because it's got vinegar in it.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yep.
All right. Here's one that we all probably need to take from time to time, is a Calmative, and it's not to calm you down.
Calmative, no.
Calmative helps soothe gas and that. So a classic one for that is peppermint oil.
Yeah, right.
It's a really good calmative.
Right, okay.
Really good. Now, so is any of the digestive herbs that are very good. We've got a lot of them.
Yep, like papain, pawpaw, like, bromelain.
Bromelain. Even in herbs like papain and all sorts of things.
Yep.
And,
you can get from pawpaw. And, I had a friend of mine that, used to eat quite a lot of pineapple after like really fatty meals and stuff like that.
Bromelain.
Bromelain. Yeah, just to help to break everything down.
Yeah, gentian is a classic herb.
Gentian. I've heard of that.
Very bitter tasting herb. The bitter herbs are typically the digestive herbs.
Right.
Taraxacum officinalis.
What about Swedish bitters, Steve? What's that?
Yeah, that's good. They're just a group of bitters that help with digestion.
Oh.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Or anything bitter usually helps digestion, simply because in the olden days, people used to think foods that were bitter were also very toxic. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can get one that if you ate a bitter, your body would pump out all this acid to destroy the potential poison coming your way.
Okay.
So if you can get healthy bitters now.
Yeah.
And that helps your digestion. That's how it helps.
Makes sense.
Stimulates digestion, basically.
What about coffee and dark chocolate, Steve? Do they have bitters in them or not?
Oh, yeah. Chocolate is extraordinarily bitter.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have a nice dark chocolate after dinner.
Yep.
Very healthy for you.
Yep.
And a lot of people match the dark chocolate with mint and have after dinner mints. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, I do.
Little wafer.
They used to be hugely popular.
Oh, very good for digestion.
Yeah, right.
Because they've got the bitter chocolate.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste bitter because it's often sweetened with sugar.
Sure.
But if you get away from sugar and even have a little bit in the wafer, then that's absolutely perfect after dinner.
It's funny how some of these old things that we used to do, like the vinaigrettes before, meals, and a little bit of red wine with a meal, and all these things were so good for us. But now it's kind of become a little bit hijacked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
After dinner mints, I remember my parents used to eat them all the time.
Yeah.
You don't see them anywhere now. Do you remember you used to finish a meal? I remember when I was young in the 80s, 90s, you go out for a meal, mainly the 80s, and there always used to be like, boom, after dinner mints after the meal, just on the table. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. They came in these like packets that you didn't have to open. You just sort of tipped out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Little paper.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Oh, good.
But you remember that?
Yeah.
Like when was the last time you went out for a meal and you got like an after dinner mint like given to you?
Sizzler. Oh, Sizzler.
Real close. Did they used to do that? No. They used to have the red and white ones, didn't they? And the wrappers. It didn't have chocolate on it, did it?
I don't know.
It's Sizzler's gone now, isn't it?
Still around. Yeah. Okay. I've got a herb that we won't ever need to take.
Hang on. Wait. I'm thinking. Is it a womanly herb?
It's a womanly herb.
Wait. Soy? No.
No, this is a group of herbs.
Group of herbs.
Starts with E, just to confuse you further.
Oh, no.
Emmenagogue.
Emmenagogue.
Yeah. Helps normalise menstrual flow and helps with womanly hormonal levels.
Okay.
So Vitex is a great one for normalising, and that's these chase tree. Black cohosh, red clovers, all these sort of things are very good as an emmenagogue. The classic one is Vitex, the most researched one. Really great to normalise menstrual flow. It used to mean strictly increased menstrual flow, but it doesn't mean increasing menstrual flow. It's normalising.
Normalises, which is, again, that adaptogenic sort of compound.
Adaptogenic thing.
All right, well, I didn't know emmenagogue.
Yeah.
Yep. What else? You got anything else when we see?
I've got an easy one.
Yep.
Compress.
Yeah. What's that?
Herbal compress is when you put something on something like that.
Yep. Potato.
Yeah, potato is a good one.
What did you use potato for, Steve? Did you ever use it?
Oh, I never tried it on one because remember when I had my knees that were swollen?
Yeah.
That was before I was a herbalist.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would have tried it on.
Yeah, yeah. Like pull out the inflammation, help to reduce or speed up healing of bruising and stuff like that as well too. But yeah, really used for that. What else?
Well, arnica was a great one for bruising in the old days, particularly homeopathic arnica.
Yeah, arnica. And
arnica
are you allowed to use a comfrey?
Yeah, symphytum. Yeah.
Yeah. The comfrey's banned now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about
I think topically.
What about bloodroot?
Oh, I think that's banned too.
That's banned, yeah. What else?
Well, coltsfoot's banned.
What else is banned?
Coltsfoot.
Coltsfoot. I've never heard of that one.
Well, coltsfoot is an expectorant. You know what an expectorant is?
It's like help you to get mucus out of your chest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like white horehound is a good expectorant.
White horehound. I used to drink a horehound drink.
Really?
Yeah. It was actually, I think it was made by Bundaberg. And they used to have horehound.
Wow.
It came in the same sort of bottle. Yeah. It was really nice. I liked it.
And
what does horehound do?
Oh, it's an expectorant. It gets rid of
do
the
you use anything else?
We use it for asthma.
Okay.
As a bronchodilator.
What about Blackfoot? What is it called? The Blackfoot one, you said.
Oh, coltsfoot.
Coltsfoot.
Yeah.
What does that do?
Well, it's a great expectorant.
It's an
great one for the
expectorant
lungs,
as well.
yeah.
Okay.
It's disinfecting for the lungs, but time.
Why is it banned?
Oh, it's only banned in Australia.
Oh.
It's safe for people from English descent like me.
Okay.
So if you're from England, you can prescribe coltsfoot.
Okay.
So there are lots of other expectorants that are in there, like Grindelia is a good one.
I've never heard of that one.
Thymus vulgaris or thyme.
Yep.
Yeah, you've heard of thyme.
Yep.
That's very good for the lungs. So any of those bronchial ones that you see that people prescribe for asthma and those sorts of things, they're great. They're called expectorants. Now you can get medicine expectorants. And one of the better ones is actually from a tree, which is a really interesting expectorant that helps loosen the cough and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. Irish moss.
Irish moss is a good expectorant. Yeah. So even licorice is a good expectorant.
Yep.
So there's lots of good expectorants.
Okay.
And it depends on what you're taking it for. Like you got to remember when we prescribe, like licorice should be a good one because it's antiviral as well.
Yep.
So you can give, licorice in your expectorant mix if someone's got a virus, and you give them thyme as well, Thymus vulgaris.
Yep.
That's a disinfectant.
We can talk about it, Steve, because we don't have it anymore.
No.
But we used to sell the licorice with the reishi mushroom.
Yes.
I think the banned reishi now in Australia, but it was excellent. Excellent.
Great stuff.
And whenever I'd get a cough or a flu, especially something on the chest, I used to drink that. It used to make me feel so much better.
Is there any still lying around?
I can neither confirm nor deny that, Steve.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it's a shame because that was really cool. Okay, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, I know. We got to. I'm trying to skip to the more. All right, I've got to be careful how you say this, but maceration.
Eating.
Yeah.
So
mastication.
Mastication. Yeah. So the ability to be able to effectively, what is it? Chewing up food, combining it with digestive saliva, and I don't know how else to really explain it.
But a maceration is when you do it without the teeth. You just do it. You chop it up, put it in a jar, and let it sit like any of those fermented foods. Okay. Have been macerated.
Yep.
Be careful how you say it.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one more.
Come on.
Okay, here we go.
Give it to me.
All right. Let's pick one of these ones. Okay. Have you heard of a poultice?
Yes. Again, very popular back in the dark ages, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Poultice. Yeah. Which you would the poultice. Was it just smelt or was it actually applied? It was applied
to skin, applied to a wound and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you got to remember, before Band-Aids and before disinfectants, you would use a poultice on a wound to stop it from getting infected.
Okay.
And you'd
what do you put in there?
Yeah, well, most common one was any sort of moss because it's very high in iodine.
Okay.
And iodine is disinfectant, or if you're near the ocean, kelp. Because kelp is the shape of a bandage as well as being high in iodine. Now, iodine, I'm focusing on because that's very, very powerfully antimicrobial.
Wow.
So what you do in the bush is when people drink out of streams is they'd put the water in the top with all this moss and it run through and the iodine would kill all the microbes in it and you'd be able to drink the water. And in fact, these days, and I could probably mention the name betadine. Have you heard of that? That's an iodine solution.
Okay.
So very, very good for as a disinfectant.
Yep.
Stop you getting cuts in it.
Are you allowed to still use betadine? I've got a feeling you're not allowed to use it anymore.
Pharmacies.
What's the other one? Copper something. I forget.
Oh, mercurochrome?
Yeah.
Oh, those are the days.
What was is mercurochrome banned?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Because
It's got mercury in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And the wrong sort of chrome. You know, there's
Mercurochrome.
Yeah, there's
I think I still got some at home. I probably should stop using it, Steve.
Probably, because mercury is bad for you and so is the chrome, because I think they use the hexvalent chrome.
Right.
Which is the CR6+, which is a toxic form of chrome.
But it's cheap, Steve.
It's cheap.
Very
colourful.
Yeah.
I remember my mother painting it on my knees and then putting a smiley face under it.
Yep.
I'm still here.
You are.
I know. What for the wusses these days? No mercurochrome. You lose an arm, they just dab a bit of mercurochrome on it.
Grow back.
If you died at a swing, you'd just have to walk it off. You know, we need to toughen up these kids these days, don't we? Bring back mercurochrome, I say.
What else, Steve? Got anything else?
Well, that's about it, because the other ones are kind of...
Too obscure?
Yeah, a little bit obscure,
Well, thanks, Steve. That was
right.
interesting. A trip down the vernacular of the naturopath.
That's weird, isn't it?
Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. So that was kind of cool.
It's funny, isn't it? Because now, you know, you can refer to this later and all that sort of stuff. And if someone says, I'm on a Nervine at the moment, you go, I know what that is.
I don't think anybody, I think, as I said, mate, we're in idiocracy.
Yeah,
any of the nuances in languages is going down.
Yeah.
When you've got text messages now where people spell, you know, stuff with an 8 instead of actually.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
like hate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know. And you is just you. It's not Y-O-U. I mean, like, no. The language is going backwards.
It's weird, isn't it, how that changes?
Yeah, it is.
So hopefully this brings back some language.
Yeah.
And particularly herbal medicines is where this comes from mainly.
Yeah, nice one, Steve. Well, thanks for that. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll be back with some more next week.
Yep. See you next week, guys.